Hello, fellow human. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and let's get on with some r/I don't work your lady stories. To the first one. My dad owns this place. This took place in China a few years ago. Please keep in mind that I'm not the best in Mandarin, so I'll try my best to translate everything. My dad owns a restaurant, and whenever I go back to China, I like to help out there. I did not work there, nor do I look like I worked there. Side note, the restaurant includes places to drink tea, which is very common in China, and a bakery. I was at the restaurant one day, minding my own business and greeting all the staff. Mind you that I was around 12, although my friends say I look older than that. The waiters and waitress were all in their 20s and were in uniform with the restaurant's logo. As a 12 years old, this event was traumatizing, and I remember most of the details because this event is inked into my brain. I was walking to the bakery when an entitled woman stood up and stopped me. We are going to call her K from now on, short for Karen. Karen, I want my drinks half off, in a snobby tone. Me, okay? Karen, aren't you gonna do anything about this? Me, no. Karen, extremely frustrated. Aren't you gonna do something? I know the owner, and I can get you fired in a quick second. You are an entitled waiter just walking around like you own this place. Who do you think you are, you filthy peasant? Me, with tears in my eyes, I don't work. Luckily, my dad heard the shouting and came down. Dad, what is going on here? Karen, who are you? Mind you that my dad is very humble and only likes to wear plain t-shirts and old jeans. Dad, what did you say to my daughter? Karen, why do you care? It's not like this bothers you. You guys are just servants while I know the owner. He can fire you in a heartbeat. Dad, I am the owner, and if you look down at people like that, it shows that you're not a good person. Pay and get out of my restaurant. Karen whimpers and nods. Her friends stood up and went inside to pay, and they all left, glaring at Karen. Later, my dad told me that she was just an office worker who worked for my dad's friend's company. That explains the fake Gucci. And she was fired immediately. Her friends or co-workers still come here very often and never ask for discounts. Again, sorry for any mistakes. I'm trying to keep this vague for privacy reasons. Well, I don't imagine those people that came with that rude Karen are her friends anymore. Acting like that in public, especially with friends, is a great way to be pretty much hated by everyone. On to the second story. Sorry, I don't work here? Oh yes, she does. I'm lucky enough to live somewhere with 0 cases of COVID. Our day-to-day lives aren't really impacted at all. Now, to the story. Today, a friend/colleague and I decided to meet for brunch at a cafe in order to go over the content we will be covering in the new school year, which will be starting in a little over a week. I arrived first and sat outside waiting for her. Summer here. A few minutes later, she turns up. Note, she is wearing a black shirt and black shorts. She dumps her bags containing textbook and a laptop on the table. We quickly greet each other. She asks if I want a coffee, I say yes, and asks if she can also grab water. We have bought each other coffees numerous times, so I didn't think I needed to clarify what I wanted. My mistake! She heads into the cafe to order. As she's leaving the table, an older lady walks into the outdoor area and sits at the table next to us. Less than a minute after walking inside the cafe, my friend sticks her head out the door and confirms my order. Naturally, she had it right, but it was nice of her to check. Her head pops back into the cafe, and it seems the older lady sitting at the table next door took note of this exchange and made an assumption. A minute later, my friends exit the cafe with a large bottle of water in one hand and 2 small tumblers in the other. This, combined with the previous order check, obviously cemented the lady's previous assumption. The lady perks up again and asks my friend if she could also get her water and take her order. My friend laughs kindly and said, I don't work here, but with what I'm wearing, I understand why you think I do. As a regular lurker on the sub, I watch on with gleeful anticipation. Sadly, I was let down. The older lady also laughs, and as my friend places the water and glasses on our table, the lady apologizes. I turn to the lady and with a big cheeky crab-eating grin, observed, she does actually work here. I don't know why she's saying she doesn't. There's a pause. My friend looks at me. The lady now looks at me. I know I'm grinning like a ducking idiot. My friend exclaims and laughs. Oh no! Why do you always have to make things so difficult? While gently swatting me on my shoulder. The lady, who's standing by this point, obviously catches on that I'm being a duckwit and says that her husband is exactly the same, while also gently swatting me on my shoulder. We all have a laugh and move on with our day. Oh, I love it, the cheeky sense of humor. The third story. Just because I work in the same building doesn't make me your butler or your caretaker. UK NHS. I work for a hospital in the UK under the NHS for the transport department. This means patients have the luxury of getting a lift to and from the hospital for their appointments if they wish. Let me just clarify that to highlight how infuriating this incident is. When you have an appointment at the hospital I work for, you can book a lift with an ambulance/car to get you there free of charge. Just ring and book and you get a door-to-door service, even if you need to be carried out your house at the taxpayer's expense. When you need to go home after your appointment, just come to the transport desk and we book you ready and start the process of getting you home. We tell people this takes up to an hour because our vehicles are always on the move and we need time to plan runs. Most people say, okay, thanks, and sit down, but too many don't. Which brings me to yesterday. A gentleman came to the desk and just stood there. I greeted him and asked if he was going home. He didn't respond. He wasn't particularly old and didn't look in a bad way, but I asked again louder as I know some patients struggle with their hearing. He glared at me and nodded. I asked for his postcode, or zip code, so I could find his booking. Again, no response. So again, I asked louder. Eventually, he gave me just the last 3 digits, which is no good. I need the area. After more time asking different ways and mainly just being glared at, I finally got his postcode. Once I had booked him ready, I asked him to take a seat. He asked how long it would take. I told him it takes up to an hour. Might be 5 minutes, might be 60. Anyone would have thought I'd told him a month. An hour? I've been here 4 hours already. He had been having treatment on a ward. Free treatment, I just like to mention. And I could see from the time we dropped him off, he'd actually been there 2 hours. But I decided not to mention that. I just apologized and said that's how long it takes. He huffed and puffed and gave me a list of reasons why he needed to leave immediately. I told him it was impossible to get him away immediately, but that he was welcome to make his own way if he pleased. He gave in and sat down for 3 minutes. He came back to the desk and demanded a cup of tea and a sandwich. Some of the wards do give these out if a patient is there for a long time, but it's not something we offer. However, there are plenty of places a patient can buy something. I told him this. I even offered him to take his money and go and get it for him. And he said, I'm not paying for anything. You should have food for patients. This was just the beginning, and despite walking to the lounge unassisted, he demanded I take him to the toilet in a wheelchair. And he then demanded we change the TV channel to what he wanted. Eventually, his vehicle arrived after about 40 minutes, and he was traveling with another old couple. He didn't like that either, tried demanding his own vehicle. At this point, I lost it a little. Sir, you either go in this vehicle or you sit back down and wait another hour for the next one. I was bluffing. I really wanted him gone. He left swearing to put in a complaint about how awful I'd been to him and how he's never experienced such injustice before. Genuinely injustice. Well, surprised he didn't pull the I've paid my taxes all my life. I'm your boss, so you should do what I say line. On to the fourth story. I was doing my makeup and almost got fired from a job I don't even work at. Thanks, Karen. I got a call from an absolute Karen today. She called my number thinking it was the Windmere Hotel in Arizona, I think. Anyways, she called. I answered and she was like, Hi, my reservation got cancelled. I want to speak to your manager. I booked this room over a month ago, and you guys were expecting me and some of my girlfriends. How could you do this to me? She was low-key raising her voice, and I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't work at hotel. You have the wrong number. She responded with, well, how come I called this number a month ago, and it was the hotel? How do you have their phone number then? I explained to her that this was never their number. It's just a simple misunderstanding and a typo on her end. So she started raising her voice at me and went, how could I have dialed the wrong goddamn number? Why are you keeping me from your manager? And I was like, listen, my number has a similar number, but you typed it wrong. If you would kindly get your head out of your entitled privilege butt, then maybe you'd be able to see how to type the right ducking number in. She got pissed and hung up. I was dead. I just wanted to make this clear. I get these calls all the time since my number is almost exactly the same as the place except for the error code. But this one by far has been the one that stuck out the most, Lamau. Or you could have always picked up the phone and answer, you're right, I'm sorry. Your reservation is restored, and because I was so rude, it's on the house. Have a nice day! On to the fifth story. I don't work here, and I definitely don't work for you. So I moved into a new house recently, which required me to buy a new bed, subsequently, new sheets. That's the background, all of it. Stop reading the preface. Go on to the story. So, I was looking for sheets inside Stainmart because that's where I figured might have some of those. I was wearing my BNHA t-shirt, headphones, and torn jeans. As I'm looking, an older lady, OL, comes up to me. OL, hey, where can I find the rolling pins? Me, taking out my headphone, excuse me? OL, I need a rolling pin, and you really shouldn't be wearing those at work. Me, well, I agree with you. The only problem being that I'm not at work. OL, well, could you at least find me someone who works here? Me, now quite annoyed. No, I'm just looking for the sheets. OL, then you should have time to help me. Me, I said no, and you should respect that. After that, I put my headphones back in and tuned everything out. She stayed there for a couple more minutes and snapped a couple times. It was annoying more than anything. Well, this is my attitude too. Polite but firm and no nonsense when it comes to dealing with entitled people. On to the sixth story. Dude, no, I don't work for you. Or how I was almost conscripted in working for a big box store with a fascination with the color blue. Let me preface this with my actual field. I work in IT and have been all my life. Now, this happened about 6 years ago. I've told it to friends and I've had several arguments over it. But I once, after getting off work, went to a store whose name rhymes with small tart and was confronted by a senile, angry manager. We'll call him Sam from now on. Now, Sam was easily pushing 70 and should have retired as he was completely off his rocker, but I digress. I went one afternoon with a short list of higher ticket items, a laptop, a drill, and about 24 cables of various description. My cart loaded with drill and cables, I approached the electronic service desk and request my laptop. My cart loaded with drills and cables, I approached the electronic service desk and request my laptop, and when I was very rudely spun forcefully about by Sam, who scolded menacingly at me and said, "Son, why the hell are you out on the floor out of uniform? Get back to the break room, change, and be ready in 5 minutes." Me, with my brain still spinning in my head, took about 6 seconds to reply, I'm sorry, what? Sam, "Get back to work!" he screamed forcefully while moving his face into my space so far I was forced to lean back onto the electronics counter. And I replied with, sir, I don't work for you. I'm an admin for a completely unrelated company. This set Sam off. Ooh, boy, this set Sam off. Sam grabbed me and literally frog marched me back into the employees' areas to the lockers and shouted in my ears, "Which one is yours?" And before I could answer, he said, "Never mind, I'll find out myself," and snatched my wallet out of my pocket, sat me down, and went off to the office too. Well, I assumed he was going to look up my name. I sat, scared and confused, in the break/locker room for what I felt like an eternity. Eventually, a security guard came and sat by me and started her usual, what did you steal? I replied with, nothing, miss. The manager, Sam, believes I work here. He stormed me back here, sat me down, and ran off with my wallet. Miss Security didn't believe me, stating the obvious. Well, that is ridiculous. Sam knows everyone who works here. You're obviously a thief, and you're back here sweating bullets. About 3 nanoseconds later, Sam screams in frustration and Miss Security hops up, telling me to stay put, and I run towards the office. Sam can clearly be heard. This stupid machine is broken again. Sam and Security come back. At the door, Security asks Sam, so, what did this guy try to take? Sam turns to her with a look like he wanted to yell at her. Are you effing daft, woman? And blurts out, time! Security shakes her head, look at me, looks at Sam, and back at me with the, wait, you're not joking me, are you, dude? Look, and immediately tells Sam, I don't think he works here, boss. This upsets Sam more, who was now turning beet red and screams, I'll get to the bottom of this, and you! Sam points a shaky, bony finger at me. I'll make sure you never work in retail again. Now that I've had a moment to process the absurdity of all this, I say, fine. Sam stares daggers before huffing and stomping off to his office again. Security sat with me again and shakes her head. Holy! Sam's off the deep end. Maybe you should just leave, I'll escort you out. Now, at this point, I'd happily taken this offer and hightailed it for the hills. However, I had just been robbed of my wallet. And I told Security as much. I've never actually seen someone's eye twitch shut in real life before. Hers was like, he took your wallet? I nodded my affirmation, and before she could say anything else, Sam walks out, smug and as crotcheries as ever. Now, I just called the district manager, and you will be fired. You'll never work here again, you hear me? I opened my mouth, but Security spoke first. Sam, he doesn't work here. You're about to get fired. Sam's ire was now fully focused on Security. Now, listen here. I'm writing you up too because you're supposed to be out on the floor making sure people aren't robbing my store blind, not socializing with ex-employees. Security shuts up and we sat for another eternity until the DM shows up. The district manager walks in finally. Okay, Sam, what's this about an employee not doing their job and saying they don't work here? Why are you wasting my time? Sam explains with a huge smile, while he also mentioned he want me blacklisted. The district manager comes and sits by me and opens a laptop. Okay, man, give me your wallet. And I reply, I can't, sir. DM, when why's that? Me, well, Sam took my wallet and hasn't given it back. District manager, alright, hold on. And stands up, taking Sam back to the manager's office, and then me and Security head. The district manager explode. You what? Sam had put my wallet in the ledger safe. That was on a 6-hour timer. A few other employees scrambled into the room like birds fleeing to a tree from a hungry cat. We got an earful of the dress down the manager was giving Sam. You're done. You're fired, Sam. I have to call corporate and get an override on this safe. That's a customer, Sam. You kidnapped a customer and stole his wallet. I cannot fathom what you are. No, don't open your mouth. Pack up. You're out. Now, Sam. 5 minutes later, and many loud I knows and yes, that is right at his own boss, the district manager returns with my wallet and apologized to me, asking me if there's anything he can do to make it right. I told him my order and he got the picture. I walked out of the Walmart with a free laptop and cables. I had to pay for the drill because they are sold on commission and the DM couldn't comp me with that item. To this day, I only hope Sam didn't die alone and broke. I really felt bad, but he dug his own hole. So yeah, I ended up with a $1,500 laptop when I was going to buy an $800 one. Well, I gotta admit, OP has an inhuman level of chill. That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.